finding yourself like so many other people at a point in your life where you have a lot of kids, there's a lot of expenses, you've been doing meaningful work in Clay Kodesh for potentially years or decades, and you're wondering like, okay, how do I actually make ends meet? How do I plan for the future? How do I get out of that very very difficult cycle of working, trying to save some money, something goes wrong on the car, you got to have, something goes weird with your sewer, you're behind, you're trying to figure out how to move. The truth is, and again, this is for everybody that's working in fundraising, potentially in Rabbanis, college teachers, like anything that you've been doing, you spent time helping Klal Yisrael, and at a certain point, if you're like me and so many other people that I work with, you're like, okay, I don't know how we're going to make ends meet, and it gets really, really difficult. And oftentimes, the longer you go on this path, the more you're seeing signs on the wall that it's going to be difficult. And so you're faced with that very difficult proposition of, do I go outside and try to find work outside, at which point a lot of us are kind of too old to start again, or what am I supposed to do? Or am I always supposed to live like this? So if that's you, I'd love for you to hang out for a few minutes and let me speak about my experience, because I've been there, I get it, and I've kind of figured out this alternative awesome reality. My name's Jacob Rupp. I spent, probably over a decade in outreach work. I was a rabbi in California and Minneapolis and all over the place. And what was for me, when I started in my young 20s doing outreach work, I absolutely loved it. And it was amazing and just like super meaningful. And I felt very, very fulfilled. Over time, what happened was that even though I was making more or less the same amount of money when I started down later in my career, my expenses like went crazy, and day school and more kids and all the things. And at a certain point, I literally didn't know how to make ends meet. And I found myself going from really loving what I was doing to loving what I was doing, but noticing that my bank account was depleting faster and faster and faster until it wouldn't even get a chance to start to get filled because I was already deeply in debt. And then it was very, very difficult because frankly, I loved what I did. I was really good at what I did. And I didn't know how to also feed my family, which was also a responsibility that I have. So, after trying just about everything and trying to figure out, okay, do I just get a different job? Now, again, it was hard for me. I didn't want to get a different job. I didn't want to go work in the real estate or insurance or financial services or plumbing or whatever people do. I was like, I loved being a rabbi. I loved helping people. I loved and I was good at it. And I had spent many, many years and a lot of time, years and experience, and I was great at what I did. And what I found was that it was actually possible to use essentially or exactly the same skill set and generate enough money in a few hours of time as I was more or less making in my full time job. And now, hopefully, where this is reaching you is that you don't go through this whole process that I went through of many years of looking yourself in the mirror and feeling terrible and not knowing what to do. Although, if you're watching this, that might have happened. And I went from job to job trying to make ends meet, doing 15 different jobs, still not making ends meet. What I'd like to present to you now is the idea of what if you could take your expertise, the things that you've developed over time, and actually leverage that into a business that really pays you and allows you to actually have extra money at the end of your month, or to build something that could be stable so that you don't look towards your financial future with a tremendous amount of trepidation. That's kind of the idea. So essentially what I learned how to do is I really clarified, like, who do I love working with, and what do I love helping people with, and how do I essentially create a business for myself? You might call it coaching, consulting, mentorship. Between you and I, doesn't really matter what you call yourself. And how do I go directly to people that would actually need my help and to charge them in order for me to help them? Now, what's interesting was there was a lot of fear in the beginning because up until then, I always had the buffer of an organization, right? So you didn't pay me, the organization paid me. The problem is if the organization's paying me, I'm not getting paid a lot. And I'm always, I hate to say it, I had a rabbi actually that told me great advice when I was young, and I wish I would have listened to him. He said, Jacob, and he's someone I looked up to a great deal, I look up to a great deal, and has done tremendous things for Klal Yisrael. And he said, Jacob, we're all replaceable at the end of the day. So don't think no matter how good you are, they'll always find someone that's better than you, younger than you, smarter than you. You gotta learn how to take care of yourself, because there's no organization that you can work for unless it's your organization that can't fire you tomorrow. And as someone that's gotten fired multiple times, I know it's true. Anyway, so point being that if you're able to actually build your own business, right, to take the skills that you have and be able to monetize those to a demographic that really needs it, it's crazy. You'll find that you can actually do what you love and at the same time not have the financial pressure. And as someone that's actually done this and done this for, as now professionally helping a bunch of other people do it, I can confidently say you can make more in a month than you can make in a year. And if it's not in a month for a year, you could make more in a few months than you were making in a year. And the amount of hours you have to work could be dramatically less. So if that's something that would be interesting to you, I'd like to map out a couple of things to consider. And then if I could help at all, don't hesitate to reach out. Now, granted, I understand this seems like a crazy prospect, because again, what are you telling yourself? I'm not a business person. I don't know how to make money. I've never had to make money. No one's going to pay me for that. The only, again, I've been doing this for a long time. I've heard just about everything. The reality is that's all in your head. And most people would actually really benefit from the exact help that you already know how to do. So whether that's helping people live happier lives, more spiritually connected lives, getting better at reading Hebrew, getting better at davening. I've got one guy that does Kabbalah coaching, and he's a wonderful teacher. He's making more money than most CEOs make, certainly, which is crazy, right? And when we started, I literally was afraid to have him work with me because I didn't know how he was going to pay his, I didn't know he was going to feed his family. And in a very short period of time, he went from really financially strapped to abundant. And the crazy thing was, he was literally doing his dream job. He was helping people grow in their understandings of themselves, grow in their understandings in their relationship with God, etc. So it's amazing. It is still amazing. So that's basically the concept, is to think to yourself, okay, what do I do? And again, if you don't know this, I literally love doing this, so just reach out and I'm happy to help you. What do I do? Who do I do it for? Who really values what I have to offer, right? Who's willing to invest in themselves to get the result that we have? And again, if you have children, you probably know what it's like to invest in their education because you care about their education. If you're married, you might know what it's like to invest in getting help with your own marriage, right? Because you might have done that. If you have ever hired someone to help you in your own relationship, again, you might say, well, no, I don't, and everyone works for free. Maybe, but I've been doing this for a long time, and I've personally spent, at this point, hundreds of thousands of dollars learning how to be better as a Jew, better as a husband, better as a business person, better as a father. Like, there's very few things that I have that I care about that I have not invested personally my own money. And again, I started as a rabbi, nonprofit person for many, many years, and I've invested a lot because it mattered to me. And just like some people invest in a car or a watch or anything else, the things that matter to us, we invest in that. We pay a premium for living close to a shul, living in a Jewish community. We pay a premium for sending our kids to the best camps and schools. So just realize that the things that you provide, the things that you are naturally good at, other people will pay for that at a premium price because they care about it. And then you can do the work that you've actually developed a lot of expertise in, you're already good at, but you could do it in such a way that it doesn't put your family at financial peril. So that's basically the concept. If this idea is interesting to you at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I'd love to go through with you who you can help, where those people are, and some frameworks around which you can get them to pay you that won't feel completely out of alignment for you. Because granted, I understand helping people is a passion, not something that you necessarily thought would be a business. A lot of people tell me, well, it's really hard to monetize other people's pain. It's like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. People say it feels super awkward. It's like, yeah, well, you have to learn a way that it's not going to feel awkward or out of integrity. I don't really care about money. It's like, okay, great. But also, who's going to pay for your kid to get married, right? So working through a lot of those belief systems and getting clear on the path forward, even if you want to generate another 3, 5, 10, in some cases, 30, 40, $50,000 a month, it's totally doable. So if that resonates with you, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much.